Well, good morning. How are you all? Good. Wonderful. Tired, maybe? A few of you? I don't know. I've heard before the church, talked to a few people who said they were tired this morning. That happens. That happens. So I wanted to start this morning with the talk and a photo for you. It's called Release Your Fear, Renew Your Faith is the name of the talk this morning. And if we could show them a symbol of a dandelion. How many of you remember as a young child blowing on a dandelion? Yes. Why? Well, still do it now as an adult. Who can tell me why? Make a wish. Anybody else? It's fun. It's okay. It's fun. The dandelion thanks you because you're populating more dandelions when you do that. Did you know that the dandelion is a symbol of resilience and strength and the ability to overcome adversity? They start as a bright yellow flower, and then they fold in on itself, or it folds in on itself, and then only to bloom again as a white, fluffy seed head, which is what we blow. Now, some people say it's a weed, and some people say it's a flower, and there was big controversy about it on the internet one time, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can take a picture down if you like. But they are a beautiful symbol, if you will, of nature and the cycle of nature. As we have the affirming yellow flower, and then we have the denial or the closing up of the flower for a period of transformation. And then we have again the affirmation of the dandelion opening into a white seed head. Some people use it for medicine. Anybody drink dandelion tea? Yes, yes. So it has a cycle of release, denial, affirm, release, denial, affirm. It goes through this constant cycle. There's a lot going on right now with cycles called news cycles. And what can happen is we can become addicted to the everyday drama and chaos that's out there. And our body actually becomes addicted to that. And our minds become addicted. We want to scroll. We want to see more. We want to see more. Right? And so what happens is when we're tired, some people believe being tired is actually the body is out of balance. Things are out of balance right now, and it can seem overwhelming. In the 12-step programs, there is when you say fear, some people will say that's false events appearing real. Well, sometimes there are real events. There are real events, and so we can get fearful. We can. That's who we are. But when fear becomes paralyzing, when fear becomes an addiction to the body and to the mind, we can no longer find our faith. We have a hard time finding it. And so, when and how do we balance fear and faith? In Unity, if you're new to Unity, we have what's called denials and affirmations. Now, in the beginning, I was like, denials and affirmations. They're just phrases. But they go much deeper than that. So let's talk about denials first. In denials and affirmation, Laura Barrett Bennett, who is a third-generation Unity minister, and a minister for 42 years, said this: denial alleviates the soul's suffering, not by ignoring the thoughts, feelings, and experiences we so often have as human beings, but by letting go of the belief that those thoughts, feelings, and experiences can control us and our lives. Can control us. We are not denying that the fear is there. But instead, we're letting go of the fear and the power it has over us. You with me? You're letting go of the fear the idea that the fear itself has power over us and can control our lives. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, taught that the denial is the beginning of the universe. Denial and affirmation is a cycle. It goes back to the very beginning. Now, the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the water. And then God said, "Let there be light." You see, it starts with denial. Charles believed that it started then, that the earth was formless, nothing. And then the affirmation of "let there be light" starts all of what we know. We see this cycle happening everywhere. We just don't call it denials and affirmations. It's like the dandelion denying the flower and then affirming it with the white seed head. It's like when you have a fire in a forest and the trees burn. What happens? New growth comes up. See, there has to be a space to fill, right? So we affirm, denies, and affirmation is through all the seasons. In the winter, things die off. In the spring, they grow. See, denials and affirmation is a universal law of nature. And so being part of nature, then we are part of that universal law. And so we use denials and affirmations for the mind, when the mind tends to go off kilter and starts thinking that this is all, this fear and chaos is our lives. But it's not. It's not. And so, on a spiritual level, we deny what we call the ego, and we affirm our divinity. We deny the fear, whatever it is attached to, and we affirm the truth of who and what we are. So I'm going to read a short story out of Mark. Mark 5. A large crowd followed Jesus and pressed around him, and a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had, yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. At once Jesus realized the power had gone out of him. He turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" His disciples were perplexed. "You see people crowding against you," his disciples answered, "and yet you can ask, 'Who touched you? Who touched your clothes?'" But Jesus looked around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, and trembling with fear, told him the truth. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." She had thought that the sickness had controlled her for 12 years. She spent money going to the doctors. Now, let me just take a little side trip here. It's something Uni called metaphysical malpractice, where we say, I must not be affirming and denying enough because I got sick. People, we are human. Things happen. We are not saying don't go to a doctor. Okay? There are times and places, especially if you feel that spiritual gifts are given to everybody, including doctors and nurses. They have the spiritual gift of healing. And so don't deny them that, if necessary. But she had believed that this sickness controlled her for 12 years. She suffered. She spent money. She visited doctor after doctor. And then she just decided in her mind one thing: if I just touch him, I'll be healed. I'll be affirmed, right? And he said, daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. He felt the energy exchange between the two of them, and she was healed. Myrtle Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, had her healing because she denied that as a child of God she could inherit sickness. And she affirmed the life-giving cells of her body. It took her years, but that's what started this movement. Unity uses denials in a way of changing our thoughts. So we change our thoughts and we're not stuck and powerless or closed up or unable to move forward. But denials are only half of the cycle, okay? There has to be a reawakening or a renewal. And so that's affirmations. When the earth was void and empty, let there be light. Let there be light. And so Charles said, faith is the strength of the soul inside, and lost it is a man without it. Faith is the strength of the soul. Faith is the living energy in which all things follow, as in the power that Jesus felt. Faith is an energy power. Okay? When faith is exercised in deep spiritual consciousness, it changes our thinking. It changes us. Faith is knowing that this too shall pass, yes, but cultivated faith, faith over time and time again, affirms that you are a divine child of God, that you are in a relationship with divine mind. It's a give and take. Seek clarity and you'll find it. Seek strength and you'll overcome it. Seek guidance and you will have wisdom. Seek life, and you will feel love. Easy? No. No. But I want you to hear that you are part of this life cycle. You are not powerless. You are not powerless. You are not powerless. You have practices and tools and skills that can get you through whatever it is that's weighing you down. And so, how do we release fear and renew faith? Through what Unity calls the affirmative prayer process. And there's 5 steps. Now, believe me, you go through these steps without realizing it or not, but we're going to break it down real quick. The 5 steps of the process as taught by Charles and Myrtle. The first one, and we're going to practice this in just a moment, the first step is relaxation. You relax. Second is concentration. Third is realization. Meditation and appreciation. So we're going to practice those. Because it's not necessarily the process, but what you say. You with me? Yes. So I want you to close your eyes. I want you to take a deep breath. This is not the meditation portion. For those of you who wonder, are we meditating all right? No. We're just going to do an exercise so you know what it feels like to deny and then affirm. Denials and affirmation. We relax. And we take this moment and concentrate or focus your breath on what I'm about to say. And in your mind, you can repeat it when I say it the second time. First, we say our denials. I release the fear of lack or limitation, that there is not enough. I release the fear of lack or limitation, that there is not enough. And so if you find yourself starting to drift into other thoughts, just come back and listen to my voice. I release the fear of facing life alone. I release the fear of facing life alone. I release the mass consciousness of fear and insecurity all around me. I release the fear of mass consciousness of fear and insecurity all around me. I release the fear of the unknown. I release the fear of the unknown. I release the energy of fear that I am holding on to in my physical body. I allow any feeling in my body to come forth, and I let it go. And if you'd like to shake it out, shake it out. It is not serving me. I allow my shoulders to drop, my arms to fall, and I become an open vessel. I release the energy of fear that I'm holding on to in my physical body. In the third step of meditation, this is where you just take a moment in silence in the affirmative prayer process. The next half is realization. To affirm a deep inner knowing of renewal. And so, I renew through my faith. There is enough. Possibilities are unlimited, and I am good. I renew through my faith. There is enough. Possibilities are unlimited, and I am good. I renew through my faith. I am the Christ consciousness, connected to all people. I renew through my faith. I am the Christ consciousness, connected to all people. I renew through my faith. I am part of a mass consciousness of strength, love, and peace. I renew through my faith. I am part of a mass consciousness of strength, love, and peace. I renew through my faith. I have an understanding that change and transformation is part of the life cycle. I renew through my faith. I have an understanding that change and transformation is part of the life cycle. In the final step of appreciation, I am grateful for the ability to perceive the false thoughts so I can release them and renew my mind with God's divine plan. Let there be light. I'll say that again. I am grateful for the ability to perceive the false thoughts so I can release them and renew my mind with God's divine plan. Let there be light. And so as you open your eyes and you come back to this moment, become aware of your abilities to carry strength, love, and peace, good and God. Friends, as you do this work, and it can be work sometimes, as you begin each day anew, practice daily. Denials and affirmations are good. There is a book out front called In the Garden, which has to do with the Lenten series. And if you have been reading this book the entire month of Lent, you would know every one of the pages starts, I release, I release, I release. And at the bottom of each day is the affirmation. Because you can't release and not affirm, right? I want to just address real quickly the words mass consciousness. This is an idea that we are part of a whole community. And we can bring with us ideas from our family, if you will, and maybe you've heard it called race consciousness, human race. But just as this mass consciousness of fear is happening, there is a mass consciousness of faith that is also happening. And so which one do you choose to be in? Which one do you choose? And I'm not saying you don't go back and forth, because we are human. But be aware that affirmations and denials and affirmation operates on a universal law that has been there from the beginning, that is part of who and what you are. It's part of your divine nature. And so there needs to be a balance. There needs to be a balance. Balance in you, balance in your community, and balance in the world. And so release your fear, renew your faith, because you are worthy. You are worthy.